What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 333.1, the Combat Sports Report with Hanson Crafton. Hanson recaps a wild weekend in boxing and in MMA at UFC 318. The Combat Sports Report, starting next week known as the Fight Report, is now airing twice a week. Previews and recaps every single week whenever there's a fight worth talking about. And there certainly were this week.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Hanson Crafton is here to recap a wild Saturday in the fighting world. We had Dustin Poirier's final fight. We had a couple of interesting decisions. We had a couple of big boxing matches, and I'd say even a couple of surprise performances, Hanson. Let's start with the boxing, and let's start with Usyk. Unbelievable performance by him. I think, however, Dubois was very underwhelming.
Yeah, I think he had a bad game plan. To me, it looked like his game plan was to go in there and try to take Usyk out, which nobody's been able to even get close to doing. So I don't know why that would have been in the game plan. It looked like he kind of gassed himself. I do think I don't know if he won the third round, but he had his best round was the third round, but you could tell he kind of left it all out there trying to chase Usyk down. Then the fourth round, he got beat up pretty good, and he got stopped in the fifth. So I don't think he had a really good game plan going into it. It did look like he was just trying to chase Usyk down and hit him with some hard shots. But Usyk, I mean, the way he fights is he goes a lot of fights. He kind of wears you down as it is. I don't know if that was the best that fight. And then he didn't look very good at all. I don't know if that was him or if it was just Usyk looking better. Which I think Usyk did look great. His movement was fantastic. Fights so well behind his jab. His footwork's really good. He always stays on the outside, so he's able to get his jab over top at all times. He just looked very good. He's a very slick boxer, and that showed Saturday. His counter punching was good, even on his back foot. And even his first knockdown, I think Dubois had him in the corner, and he hit him with a combination and knocked Dubois down. So Usyk looked outstanding. Even at 38 years old, he didn't look like he slowed down at all. And he looks like he could probably keep going a couple more years if he wanted to.
In the fifth round, it looked like Dubois did not want to even get up at all. He did get up and then went down about 15 seconds later, and he had no interest in getting up again.
No, he didn't. He looked gassed. His legs were shot. He was already wobbly. Yeah, he wanted a way out of there, and Usyk gave it to him.
No doubt about that. What's next, you think?
It's interesting. He said after the fight he wants to take a little bit of, like I said, I be Joseph Parker, but, the Fury talks already started. It sounds like it could be a trilogy with Tyson Fury.
I'd like to see a younger guy get a shot, but we'll see. There's not a lot of options when it comes to younger guys right now.
Right, yeah, they're kind of all fighting each other, so it will be interesting. I think we'll know something within the coming months, but until then, I really don't know which way they'll go.
Well, one thing we definitely know, Hanson, is that Manny Pacquiao's return is legit. He looked solid, if not pretty good, and if he wants to fight Floyd Mayweather, I think that would be in the cards, wouldn't it?
The speed was definitely there. He still looked in great shape. I would think. The only thing I would say about it is it looked like maybe his power has gone a little bit. Manny used to be able to pack a little bit of a punch. It didn't ever really seem like he hurt Barrios or had Barrios in any trouble, but the speed was still there. I was very surprised with his combination punching still. He was still able to get inside and throw multiple punches at a time. It looked like he hadn't taken 5 years off, honestly. I mean, I don't know if he looked the same as he has looked, his championship form, but he still looked like a very competitive boxer in there with another good boxer. Barrios is not a bad boxer, but Pacquiao did. It was It was a weird fight. I couldn't really tell if the corner kept telling Barrios he was giving him too much respect. I don't know really what they were saying there, but it looked like Pacquiao was just a lot faster than they expected him to be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I was surprised how he was pretty much able to control the pace of the fight.
Yeah, he did. And anytime Barrios tried to get inside of him, like I said, he would land a multiple punch combination, and it looked like it just kind of, I don't know, it just looked like it threw Barrios for a loop. I don't know what he was expecting in there, but yeah, it just looked like he was surprised with it, and I honestly was too. I didn't think Manny would come out and look that quick, that fast. His movement was still really well. He was able to get inside and out. And like I said, anytime Barrios went for something, he kind of was able to counter him and land multiple shots to make him have to reset.
How'd you feel about the decision?
I scoring it live, I had Barrios winning 7-5, but all the rounds were really close.
Yeah, a couple of the early rounds really could have gone either way.
Exactly. So once they said it was a draw, I mean, honestly, I could have seen it going 7-5 either way. The draw is probably the correct decision there just because the rounds were so close. I really don't know who you give some of those early rounds to. I do feel like Barrios took the late rounds. Manny did slow down, but I guess that's, he's 46 years old in there. First time fighting in 5 years. You got to expect that. So I gave the later. I think I had Barrios winning the last 3 rounds, which I thought he needed to win the fight. At one point, I had Manny up by a few rounds, but I was okay with the decision there. I felt like, like I said, it could have went 7-5 either way, but the draw is kind of, I was okay with that decision.
And it really works for both fighters. It allows Pacquiao to do the Mayweather fight if he wants. It allows Barrios to retain the belt. It kind of worked out for everybody. It kind of seems like there was some back dealing there. Hey, let's just call this a draw.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably the best decision for both of them. Like you said, Manny can still do the Mayweather fight if he wants, or he could take another fight, and then Barrios still gets to go home with the belt. So, yeah, I think that was probably the decision that everybody wanted there at least.
In the 2 boxing undercards, anything that was interesting to you?
There was some really good fights. Bam Jesse Rodriguez looked outstanding. He had a 12th round knockout of Cafu. Cafu was 11-1 going into it, so Bam retained his WBC and WBO super flyweight titles. He looked outstanding. He's a guy he's in the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. So it was a very good performance for him. Isaac Pitbull Cruz looked very good in the undercard fight. Now, he did have a late opponent change, Omar Salcido. Right. And Salcido that guy's got a chin. He took punches the whole night. I don't think he won a round. I'm pretty sure it was a wipeout for Cruz. Cruz looked fantastic. Somebody on the internet said he fights like he has rabies. The way he fights, he's forward. His pressure is relentless. He throws body shots like you wouldn't believe. I mean, hard body shots, leaps with his left hand. He put it on him, and Salcido never even looked like he was going to go out. It did look like he probably got a little hurt a couple times, but nothing really to make you think he was ever in real bad danger. And Cruz put it on him for the whole 12 rounds. He put it on him. It was a very good performance for Cruz, especially for a late change opponent. Salcido was a lot bigger than Cruz, but a lot of guys Cruz fights are bigger than him. He's a smaller guy for the weight class. So he did retain his WBC super lightweight title. I think he'll probably get the fair rematch again, but you never know. He could go anywhere from there. Salcido earned respect from a lot of viewers in that fight, but I don't know where he'll go from there. He'll probably fight the guy he was supposed to fight before he took the Cruz match. But I thought Cruz looked outstanding, and then Fedor looked great in his stoppage over Tim Tszyu. He took Tim Tszyu out where Tim Tszyu didn't respond to the bell in the 7th round. It was a great performance. He hurt Tim Tszyu, dropped him in the 1st round, and then it was just
he was the underdog.
And Tim just could never get in. Fedor, like I said, he's very big for the weight class. He's super tall, and he's just a sharp boxer. He throws straight punches, doesn't really loop anything, so he's able to get to his target quick. And with that range and distance he has, he's going to have that advantage over everybody. He was just able to stick Tim, and Tim couldn't get in there. And, even when Tim Tszyu had his best round, I'd say was probably the 6th, he couldn't come out of the corner after just because at the end of the round, he started getting hit with some big shots again. And I think he was just kind of at one point out on his feet. Took him a long time to get to his corner after that round. And I think he just knew he had nothing for what Fedor brought that night. I mean, Fedor looked really good. Like I said, he stayed behind his jab. He let it get away a couple of times, and that's when Tim would start having success. But when he kept peppering that jab out there and then throwing that straight left, I mean, he was in control of that fight. I thought he looked really good. I don't know if he'll get the fights he wants. He was holding out for Spence. I don't know if Spence is going to come back. He said he wants to fight Bud Crawford. I don't know if Crawford's going to fight after the Canelo fight. So maybe he can get in there with Charlo. Fedor looked good. He'll have plenty of fights that he'll be able to choose from after that performance, I think.
Let's move to some MMA and UFC 318. Before I say what I'm going to say here, my criticism, Hanson, I want to start with saying, what a fight. Those guys, there's a reason it's called the BMF belt, because those two guys are bad dudes. But here's the thing I wanted to say before we talk about that, Hanson, is why can't we just make their faces the scorecards? Because if you looked at their faces, there's no doubt who won that fight.
Yeah, that's the thing about MMA, and that was the difference in the second fight they had. Max is a good combination puncher, good boxer, but Poirier lands the harder shots.
That's right.
Now, Max did hurt Poirier in the first round. He hurt him in the second, but Poirier was able to hurt him in the second as well. It seemed like Max has the volume, but when Poirier would land, he did more damage.
Right, and the 65 punches landed to 24 in the first round should carry more weight than the 4 rounds that were close.
Right.
It should be an overall scoring system, especially if you're going for the BMF belt. It should be an overall scoring system and not round by round. That's my criticism of a fight like that.
In those type of fights, but the way Max fights that's just kind of how, he's a volume puncher. He's a small guy for the weight class, so he doesn't really – I was surprised he dropped him in the first round, honestly. I thought –
they're both bad dudes, Hanson.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. It kind of saved the card. The card was very underwhelming going into it. All underdogs won except for the main fight, which was very surprising. But like I said last time we talked, in MMA, the odds aren't really like they are in boxing. Boxing, if you have a big favorite, that guy 9 times out of 10 is going to win. In MMA, you could be a big favorite, but with a ground game, stand-up game, if you're a really good stand-up guy and you slip on a banana peel and take it to the ground, and you could get submitted. And it just kind of – it's just very strange odds with MMA. A lot of times you'll see guys -400, -500 still lose fights. And there were 2 on that card. Kevin Holland was the second biggest favorite. He got beat. He got dropped a couple of times in his fight. And then Michael Johnson was the biggest underdog on the card, and he won his fight. So the card was kind of underwhelming, but the main fight, the BMF fight, saved it. And it was a really good fight. It was kind of one of those fights where you're on your edge for all 5 rounds. You really didn't know anybody could finish anybody. And then the last 10 seconds, Max points at the ground, and then they go at it for the final time. I mean, it was a really good fight.
It was a great fight. I thought if you're talking about who was the baddest dude, the Poirier won that fight. What a way for him to go out.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's how Poirier's always fought. He's always been like that. It was a great career. They did a nice little package video for him after the fight. They sent him off the way they should have. He had a great career, and he deserved the way that it ended. I had Max winning that, but it was close. And it's kind of a timeshare thing. The refs or the judges, a close fight, they're not going to give it to the guy who's leading.
Hanson, I think if you score it the way that UFC scores it, then Holloway won. But if you're talking about who just won the fight, I think Poirier won.
Yeah, if you're going schoolyard, recess outside,
exactly.
Both guys come inside, you're going to say, yeah, Poirier won that fight. Max's face was kind of a mess after that.
It wasn't just his face either. You said earlier that Holloway hurt him in the first round and the second round. There was not a round where either one didn't get hurt. They were just back and forth, just stunning each other, and they just come back and charge at the other guy, and that's fighting, Hanson.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was. That's just both of those guys. That's how they fight. There are 2 really good guys to put in there. There's a handful of guys that really deserve to fight for that BMF title, and those were 2 of them right there.
No doubt about it, and a lot of respect shown in the end.
Oh yeah. Like Poirier said, those are like same thing with the BMS. Those are also two of the good guys in the fight game. Very respectful. You don't see any bad things out of the guys. They both do a lot for charity and stuff. So it's those are two really good guys too.
Complimenting each other on their punches as they were getting hit.
Yeah. I mean, that's they have fun when they're in there. Those are real savages. They have fun.
Yeah. Hanson, as always, it's been a lot of fun talking fighting with you, and we're going to start doing it twice a week when there are big fights and big results like this one. And fight weekends like that don't come along very often, so it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. The first one started mid-afternoon. I think Usyk and them walked about 5 o'clock.
That's right.
So I was tuned in from there on. Those Saturdays are for me. Those are really good days for me.
Thanks so much to Hanson for joining us again. You may have noticed that we've gone to twice a week for the Combat Sports Report, and starting next week, it will be known as the Fight Report. Hanson said he likes that better. I like it too. Always love talking with Hanson about sports. I look forward to this segment every week. And thank you so much for listening. Please do us a favor and share this podcast with the fight fan in your life. And go find us on YouTube, Amazon, Apple, SoundCloud, or Spotify. And like, subscribe, and follow. Thank you. I'm gonna write that down. I know, but I did. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love you, Susie.